all good on my end. One word of caution before we start tonight. Usually we don't have as full an agenda as we do tonight. Usually one of the hardest things I have to do is to solicit people to come to our meetings to speak. This month, I didn't have to do that. Everybody just came to me, which is really well appreciated. It also means there's a lot going on in the Midtown area. So some of the things we'll talk about tonight are going to require a follow-up. I'm well aware of that, but we'll just kind of take it as it goes. Looks like the one person we are missing is somebody from Raleigh Police. So that's going to move our agenda along very quickly, unless he's late for whatever reason. So first thing I'd like to do is, hopefully you've all received the minutes. And I always like to say, hopefully you read the minutes, but I'm always asking for too much, I know. So I'm going to make a motion to accept the minutes. I got a second for that? Second. Thank you, Patrick. Any discussion, any corrections, anything that I missed in the minutes that you're aware of? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, just raise your hand. All those opposed? Seeing none, I assume they passed unanimously. All right, off to a good start. We're going to skip Sergeant Garcia, because he must be out on patrol somewhere. Maybe that was that fire engine that went by, I don't know. First up is Greg Marshall. Greg's been here before, and he's going to update us on the renovation of the Eastgate Dam.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for that introduction.
Something to share with you.
Yeah, if you could slowly pull up the web page. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Greg Marshall. I'm a project manager with the city stormwater department. I am also the project manager managing Eastgate. And so, for you, those of you that aren't familiar with me, again, I came back. It was February, right? Yeah, February. I attended your guys' CSC meeting just like now, and then we also had an actual follow-up meeting here just to give you an idea of where the design was going. Now that we've got some feedback from the public, and so. Recently, we've had a development with the design, and by development, I mean the state has come out with a study basically that they've published, and it's basically throwing a monkey wrench in our schedule. And so what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? So the dam, as we discussed before, is regulated by the state of North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality through their actual dam safety branch. And so this part of the government, the state, they have the ability to impose fines, give notice of deficiencies to dam owners, i.e. as the city, for Eastgate Dam. And so part of what the state does is they also issue guidance to dam owners. And they've recently changed their guidance. And that change in guidance deals specifically with the way you design your spillway for high hazard dams like the dam we have out here in Cooper's Pond. And what the state has done is they've effectively worked with PhDs, other doctors, other research professionals in the Triangle area, and they've really worked to change and update their methodology on how we look at this, the spillways for these dams. And so they issued that new information in May, but we already sort of had the heads up that this was coming down the pipeline because the consultant we work with has a really good relationship built up over many years of doing this type of work with the state. So we basically got the hey, this is coming down the pipeline, this is gonna happen. And we are now coming to grips with that development and implementing it into our design and moving forward. Now, what does that mean for the schedule of Eastgate? Well, it's a significant push. It basically delayed where we were at with the design by about 6 months, which is significant. Now, in that time frame, we also identified that we don't know yet if we very well may have to upsize the culvert that's currently beneath Whale Hollow Drive right here. Now, the reason for that is we don't know the volume of a flow that we're going to see coming out with this new design now that the state has basically changed the name of the game. And what we can't do, what we absolutely cannot do as the city is come in here and spend millions of dollars to fix the dam and then send a flooding issue downstream. We can't do that. So that is why we're sort of, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, making sure that we understand this new development with the state and make sure that it's correctly implemented into our design. Once we do that, then we can sort of look at the culvert underneath Quail Hollow and see if it needs a replacement. It may need a replacement, it may not. Now, we like to plan for worst case scenario, that way, if it doesn't happen, that's good, but if it does, we've planned for it. We're thinking we are just gonna go ahead and assume that we have to replace the culvert, and that adds an additional 6 months to the total construction timeframe. So what does that all mean for people that use the dam all the time, or come here all the time and use the amenities, or walk across it? Well, it just means that the original construction schedule that we anticipated, which is roughly 12 to 15 months long, is now extended by another 6 months, because we're trying to just make sure if it end when we've got a complete design and we understand, hey, as part of the design, we do have to replace the culvert, then we've already accounted for that in the schedule going forward. And so if you guys are familiar with it, we do have a public project webpage that Larry's been so kind to sort of pull up here. I've also provided the link to him, so if you are interested in the link, you're more than welcome to reach out to him and get that. It's gonna have all your basic project updates, so if you leave here tonight and you're like, oh, I wish I would have asked Greg, whatever, this question, you can pull up this page and sort of look at the schedule. If it's a schedule question, there's also my contact information in the event the page doesn't give you enough information, or you feel like it doesn't really answer your question to your satisfaction. So, yeah. Sure.
So to summarize, basically the dam that you were planning wasn't going to be big enough. And then question 2, schedule aside, what's the studio cost to get to that culvert?
Was it Martin?
What's the cost change?
Right. So we're still very early on in the design, and at this point don't know that. Then go down the route to develop a cost for something that we may not need. What was your first question? You said what?
Just to summarize, basically the dam you were planning was probably too small based on the new guidance, right? Or the project, the dam wasn't gonna be large enough?
No, it's not necessarily the dam was gonna be large enough, it's just the actual sizing of the spillway. That is what's gonna change with this development.
Okay, thank you.
What is the spillway? Is it that big concrete block that sticks up out of the water?
Yeah, so what you see out there right now, that what sticks up out of the water is basically like, almost like the top of a soda can. And as water fills up, it gets to the top of the soda can, falls in, but there's also a gigantic pipe that goes down to the ground, shoots under the dam, and then comes back up that little structure you see on the downstream end. It's energy dissipators, basically.
Craig, it's probably not a question for you, but that spillway is constantly getting blocked up by fallen trees or whatever other debris gets thrown in there.
Right.
Is there anybody that can, maybe maintenance should do it, a regular checkup on it?
Yes, they need to be doing regular maintenance on the spillways and park maintenance, and that's sort of something we're really trying to incorporate in the design, because as discussed during the previous meetings, maintenance out there is a little bit of a pain for park folks. They've got to be in a buddy system, they got to get a boat, they got to go out there, haul it out. And so this design that we have is going to be much more maintenance friendly, so that it allows them to sort of keep up with it and not let it sort of get behind.
Are you gonna show those slides tonight, show how they, be able to open the thing up on the spillway?
Yeah. Once they get to the point where they have a design where they have the doors that open up like you're mentioning, so that, instead of having to go out on a boat to clear it out, they'll be able to stand over it, open up a door, and just go down in there and clear it out. It'll be a much more simplistic method for them to be able to keep up with the park versus having to get a boat and a buddy system every time they want to clean.
Greg, do you happen to know what they're gonna do with those fallen trees under there?
So it's a great question. The answer is I have no idea. Here's what I can tell you. The end of this week, City Stormwater, as well as Parks and Transportation, are all gonna meet to start coordinating to make sure that we don't step on each other with our projects. There's a Green Street project that's going on with Quail Hall, where there'll be painting, there's bike stripes, bike paths. They also want to put green stormwater infrastructure here at the downstream end, and try and integrate that with our culvert replacement. So it's not just Eastgate in the neighborhood of us doing project stuff now. We're having other city departments come in that are doing work in the same area, and it's just in our best benefit to coordinate so that we don't, for example, rip up a bunch of stuff that didn't need to be ripped up because they were coming in to paint it or vice versa. So the end of this week, we will meet, discuss, and Parks will be giving it, to my understanding, Parks will be giving us a decision on what we're doing with dredging. Are we going forward? Are we not? So what I would encourage the community to do is to reach out to your Parks representatives, let them know, hey, we heard there's gonna be a meeting at the end of the week. What's going on?
Is that gonna be an open meeting?
What? No. No, I apologize.
I kinda knew the answer for
You
it.
mentioned Quill Hall Drive in this, so have any final decisions been made that, because that's been real controversial here in the neighborhood?
Final decision for what?
Quill
No,
Hall Drive,
no.
that redesign.
No, he said bike paths.
Yeah, it's
It's a bike path.
yeah, it's called the Quail Hollow Green Street Project. And it's a project where they're basically trying to increase mobility along the road, so painting those bike paths.
On the bicycle track where you got 2 lanes on one side,
Yep, that's correct.
a lot of different opinions on that.
And it will be up to the city of Raleigh's Transportation Department to come here
That's
and
scary.
get that input from you. So what I would suggest is, you have to remember that things are sort of separated in terms of responsibility. So when it comes to Quail Hollow Drive, that's the city of Raleigh Transportation's Department. City of Raleigh Stormwater gets that water off the road, but when it comes to that road, typically it's the Transportation Department.
For Quail Hollow, my last communication with them was that they are still going over all the input they got from when they were here before. And they'll probably do another follow-up with us in the fall, so you have time.
And the good news is that the Quail Hollow Green Street, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name for it. But the engineer consultant that got the job to do that design is the same firm that is doing the design as Eastgate. So it's good to be able to crosstalk a little bit quicker and coordinate versus 2 very different engineering firms having to come together and coordinate their design effort. Yes, ma'am.
So when do we expect the design to be complete?
The design should be complete by January of 2020. Yep, January 2027, early 27. And so, I'm sorry?
The design
Yep.
should be done in.
27, did I say 26?
Yeah, you said
Sorry.
27?
Yeah, it'll be January, early 2027 is when the design will be completed.
Okay,
Are we gonna paint the bike paths first?
year and a half.
I'm sorry?
Are we gonna paint the bike?
So it's a great question. We actually have the transportation department attending that meeting at the end of the week. They're thinking that it may be a good trial run for them to go paint the sections that we could or could not rip up anyways, just as sort of like a trial run. My initial thought was like, is the juice worth the squeeze with that? Should you really do that? But they said it's not a lot of paint for them just to do this small section in front of the dam. And
Did you say paint or pain?
paint.
Okay, just want to check.
Sorry, my apologies. To paint the road. They figure if they paint that right there, they're gonna be doing a lot of painting along Quail Hollow. So that's sort of like they're toying with the idea of a pilot, basically. Yes, sir.
I'll express a concern, which you probably can't do anything about, but these city planning processes involve so many committees, and they go back and forth, and all these delays that you're talking about is not the way to make a plan, but it's just the process itself is totally out of control. And that's why it would seem like the 6 Fork Road corridor, you go down the tubes with it going up multiple times in price.
No,
Because
understood.
the planning process really stinks.
So I'll be honest with you, so this change, this delay, because of North Carolina dam safety, it really was hey, we're the state, we govern the dam, we dictate how the design is gonna be designed, and here's a brand new study showing a lot of research and evidence as to why we back this change, and your design must support this change when you submit it for review. So it really wasn't us decision, it was the state, take it and eat it, here's your no thank you helping type thing.
I warned Greg ahead of time. I thought you guys would give him a really hard time because the money and the project timeline has moved 3 times. This is the 3rd time. First, they took the money away, city used it for other purposes, brought the money back, had a timeline, and now we have a change in the timeline. So hopefully it's the last time.
Yes, sir. I do want to bring it, I said, I do want to bring up just one, sort of, hey, we are working, we are making, progress over here. So the end of the week, we have the meeting that we told you guys about, but additionally, at the end of the week, we're expecting, the 30% design deliverable to be given to us as a city for review. Up until this point, that has not happened with Eastgate. It's never made it that far. So even though we do have a delay, we are as far as this project has gotten in the design process to date. So we are making progress. Yes, sir.
Getting rid of it is never on the table.
No.
Yeah, why not?
That's a question I honestly couldn't tell you. I think that question is probably answered by SMAC, our Stormwater Management Action Committee, long before I was here, probably when they first decided to do the preliminary engineering report 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Long term, that would eliminate a lot of problems.
It would learn a lot of problems, but it's also, it's a big sticking point for the park. Folks like it, the community like it. Now, it's gonna take some work to fix it, I understand that. But, there's a reason why everybody here said, hey, go ahead and fix the dam, but keep the view of the lake, keep the view of the lake. So we took that as, folks want it. That was our take.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
You might just want to speak to the cooperation between stormwater and parks about, just the issues with, like we said, the trees down, things like that, all falls into parks. And so you guys are meeting to talk about those things.
That's right. Yeah. No, I saw the tree you're talking about. I tell right away, like, that's not an older tree. That's a newer tree that just came down. So absolutely. This is something I've been doing since we had first met back in February, January, is I'm, relaying your guys' concerns to parks. But the reality is, and everybody knows this in this room, and I've said this time and time again, when it comes to park issues, you have to bang on parks doors, not stormwaters. You have to bring those messages to the doors of the people that can make the signatures for the work happen that you guys are looking for. Any other questions?
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thank you.
We expect an update after the meeting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, moving right along. Sharon. Sharon McCracken from make sure I get the name right, I get it wrong all the time.
Right, well,
Hollows Community Garden.
we have since changed the name
Again?
and now it's Eastgate Community Garden. So that should make everybody a little bit easier to find us on social media. We're in the process of getting our website up, but we are now officially linked to Parks and Recs Community Garden with the city of Raleigh. We had a meeting today. Kitty Otero is our secretary / treasurer. And we had a meeting this morning with our consultant / coordinator with Raleigh Gardens, Community Gardens, Amy Ballard, and she confirmed that we do now have a link and we are in the process of getting more signage up and getting a kiosk up and getting more information out there. So if you haven't walked past the community garden, it's now up and running and we definitely need volunteers. And I want to say, like, I'm a single mom, I run a business, I also work at Fifth Season Gardening. I don't have a lot of time, but I make time for this because it means a lot to the community and building community. So if you really want to help your neighbors, bring your grandkids, bring your kids out to the garden. We're really committed to teaching. While we're out there, we've got little watering cans, we've got all kinds of tools that people can use. We're talking to the city also about their tool lending because we want to participate in that, which is a new concept that Raleigh, the city of Raleigh is also allowing people to borrow equipment now. We will have upcoming events. Something that we're really excited about in November is Art in the Park. And we're coordinating with the city of Raleigh Parks and Rec to do a time where people can come out. We're going to try to create a mural on the side of our building, our little shed that's out there. We're also going to we have a poet that is going to be kind of leading a poetry time inspired by different plants and what we can observe in the garden. If you haven't been out there this morning, there were goldfinches, there were bluebirds, there's all different pollinators out there. And so it's just become a really beautiful space. And we want to encourage all of you guys, if you have any time, if you have any resources, we definitely could use it. One thing we're really looking for are rain gutters. So if you happen to see any anywhere or have knowledge of somebody that might have some leftover rain gutters, we really need that to add to the shed. We have a rainwater barrel, so we want to be able to store rainwater there. But these little bitty things of needs that we need the community to support us in doing that. And just actually just helping to weed, giving us advice. If you have some kind of special niche where you enjoy doing marketing or want to host something there, we want to make this space open to you guys. So please let us know. I think we're going to be passing around a little sheet that you can sign up.
I put one on the back corner table there for you.
Okay, so just add your email address or go and follow us on Instagram or Facebook. And that way you can kind of keep up to what we're up to right now. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on in the garden?
Sharon, when is somebody usually out in the garden?
So typically we've been changing it up a lot because we're few and far between. So Sundays has been a pretty consistent day that we've been able to meet. Sunday afternoons around 5 to 7, we're usually out there piddling. You will sometimes see us in there Monday mornings and Wednesday mornings as well. But we're really open to whenever people start to feel like that might be whatever good time might be for them, because we want it to be a community place. If you know of any other organizations that would like to join with us, please let us know as well. Excuse me. So yeah, is there any other questions about the garden?
Can you talk about the harvest?
Yeah, so we our harvest, what we really want to do is have a place where people can try things. So we've started a lot of things by seed. And if you look out there, all the marigolds and every single one of those beds is done by seed. And majority of the plants were seeded in. So that means the harvest is just kind of a little bit funky. We've had some watermelons. We've had tons of okra. Again, if you're walking past there and you see that the okra needs to be harvested, please grab it because you go a day and it's overripe. So cucumbers, lots of tomatoes out there, lots of basil. So if you get in a pinch and you need some basil, please walk over to the garden and get some. We've got lots of mint. Lots of, trying to think what else, cucumbers, just had squash. And so far we've been able to donate about 25 pounds. But we're noticing also at the food banks, they're not really inclined to take fresh. They want more canned vegetables. So we want that to be to the community. This is not like, we want you guys to engage. You want this to be a part of your community and your garden and part of your resources. So we want to encourage people to go in there and get what they need. We also have blueberries we planted in last fall, pawpaw trees, a fig tree, pomegranate tree, So we wanted to become this food forest type area where people can walk by and simply get what they need and not feel like they're doing something bad or this is somebody's territory. This is the community's garden. So,
But it's usually locked, right?
huh?
Isn't it usually locked?
No.
Oh,
Now, the shed is locked
okay.
because it has all of our tools and stuff in there, but the garden itself is open to you guys and we want it to be open. The water is locked because it is city water. And that's one issue that we've run into through this year is like, sometimes the water is shut off and then we don't have a way to water. We're talking with Parks and Recs about doing a simple irrigation system using rainwater. Again, we just need gutters to be able to get that rainwater collection going so that we can be really self-sufficient. And we want to teach people how to be self-sufficient as well. Again, it's a place of learning. So we want you bring children, bring people that are interested in learning how to grow with nature. And, you know, we've had successes and fails within the garden. We found like 3 huge tomato hornworms on our plant today. And we're like, oh, that's what's going on. So, but we've got compost, we've got a lot of things going on that hopefully will inspire people to grow their own. Yeah.
Where is this?
It is.
I don't know, how the hell?
It's right up the hill, so where the soccer field is, it's right there, right behind the soccer field, on that, what is the road of blanking?
Wingate.
Yeah, Wingate, so, you know, just stop and park on that side and enter whenever you need to.
Have you talked to the roofing companies about getting recycling gutters they take down? We just had our house gutters replaced, and they just haul the old ones off for scrap or something, and we should
That's
probably
a
get
great
rid of.
idea. I had not thought about that. I was gonna stop by the restore and see if maybe they might have some things like that, but that's a great idea.
I mean, they probably, put a little sign up and say, thank you, Baker, they probably.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Thank you for that, yeah.
We're waiting on signage, and once we get a sign at a kiosk, we can post information, hours, that kind of thing. People will at least know.
Yeah, and we wanna like, you know, keep people involved too, and if you want to be a part of our board, we need your help. And we would love your input, and yeah.
You guys can use the park bulletin board. We
Yeah.
can't seem to find the key to it, but you can post on there. If you'd like to post on there, you can. Some of us have done that in the past.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, for those of you that might have missed that, the community garden sits right off Wingate, right at the top of the hill, right past the soccer field. So usually it's the practice field for the kids. Okay, doing really well tonight. I thought we would have struggle with the agenda tonight, but let's get to what probably a lot of you are here for, and that is the missing middle case that has come up recently. It's, let me share my screen again. And Martha, introduce you.
The presentation, can you talk? Larry, do you have the presentation?
The one you sent recently.
Yeah. No, okay.
I can look for it.
Yeah, it might be.
You sent it today?
It's fine. Yeah, I sent it just at like 5. It's okay. Hi, I'm Martha Browning Midgette. I'm gonna probably get very emotional because this is something that matters to me and our community. I'm here on behalf of Anderson Forest, Oakland Drive, and Drury Hills. Also terrible at public speaking, so I don't know how I'm in this position, but here we are. I want to bring to your attention a proposed multi-unit dwelling at 322 and 3224 Six Forks Road. 19 lots slated for 18 three-story townhomes. Our neighborhood has a lot of concerns. One is traffic and safety. In 2015, the city council unanimously rejected a proposal for just 6 townhomes at this location because adding a new road to Six Forks between Anderson and Oakland was deemed unsafe. Conditions have not improved. In fact, traffic congestion and safety risks have worsened. In the past 5 years, at Anderson and Six Forks intersection alone, there have been 48 wrecks with 5 fatalities. By contrast, the 2007 review over 3 years showed only 12 wrecks total at that same intersection. Even more striking, in that same 2007 review, looking at the entire stretch of Six Forks from Wake Forest to the 440 Beltline, there were 0 fatalities. Another concern we have is flooding and stormwater. Our neighborhoods already face significant flooding challenges, which are worsening as storms become more frequent and severe. Development near Crabtree Creek and Anderson Drive would add more impervious surfaces in an already very vulnerable flood zone, increasing runoff and straining an already stressed system. Raleigh currently holds a Class 5 rating in the National Flood Insurance Program rating system. About 5% of Raleigh's population lives in the 100-year floodplain. Anderson Forest, a downhill area from this development, is part of that floodplain. We will experience the downstream impacts significantly. There's also a lack of voice in this process. What troubles me the most is based on all of my conversations with City Council. The perception is that citizens have little opportunity to engage. This is largely an administrative process where advocacy rarely changes the outcome and appeals are seldom successful. This is of significant concern. It feels unbalanced, favoring sellers and builders over many community members who are coming forward to voice concerns about recent and ongoing missing middle developments. I want to be clear, I'm not against growth. I understand the need. I understand the reason for additional housing options, but growth cannot come at the expense of our safety, stability, and long-term value of the neighborhoods. I was born and raised in Raleigh. I now live about a mile from my childhood home, and I'm proud of the city I've grown up in, but I'm deeply concerned that our voice is not being heard and that it's going to impact the safety and the flooding in our community. And I'm asking for people to listen. What we want to ask is, what are the exact administrative process and the criteria for the site plan? Will residents be given access to the complete stormwater survey and traffic impact analysis before approval? Is the developer developing under certain criteria that we need to know about? And then also, with all of the concerns around the missing middle, how is this process being considered from residential input, and how can this be addressed where policy needs to be reviewed and changed? I'm not here to resist that change. I'm here to ask for thoughtful, balanced growth that reflects our existing neighborhoods. I ask that city leaders can keep into consideration our safety, the stability, and fairness in this process. Thank you for your time.
Take that seat right there. This is Keegan McDonald.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Keegan.
I called him today. Sorry.
Yeah, he and I are buddies because I've been through missing middle cases.
Yeah.
Seems like nonstop. So maybe Keegan can provide you some of the answers I think you're seeking.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's all right, I might sit here just because I might be reference my computer, so
Yeah.
I think I should be able to talk loudly enough for everyone to hear me.
Can you stop sharing?
So, yeah, I'll just introduce myself. I might take a seat just so I can reference the computer if there's specific questions that I need to look for an answer for. Again, my name is Keegan McDonald. I'm the land development manager with the city. So I oversee our current planning unit. They do plan reviews for subdivisions such as this one. So one of my staff members is the plan reviewer. I'm her manager, but I'm here to hopefully answer any questions you may have. One thing I did want to note is that there are usually about 9 different groups that review plans. So each department sort of takes a specific lane, whether it be stormwater, parks and recreation, urban forestry, et cetera. So I'm not the subject matter expert in all 9 areas. I do know or should know most of the answers on the planning side. So hopefully I can provide you with that information. I do have the corrections report, which is basically what's generated when someone submits a plan for review. They go through the review process, staff enters corrections, which are things that need to be addressed in order for the plan to be approved. So I do have that available and has each of the specific plan reviewers' contact information here. So I'm happy to leave that with you. It's publicly available. It's on our permit portal.
Before, can I just stop it? I looked at that, it seemed to be incomplete. It looked like they did a really poor job submitting, and they have to resubmit.
So it is typical that most subdivisions, even of relatively little complexity, require 3 to 5 rounds of review before they're approved. So there's a lot for them to address on a lot of different areas. I will say from the planning side, there were certainly a number of comments. I think there's some complexity here too on the transportation side because it's an NCDOT roadway. So that driveway and access is going to be determined by NCDOT. And if there's something else that's.
Could you put the map back up, Larry? 33226 Forks, just, yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm just.
Yeah.
The map is helpful.
So I'm really here to be a resource. I don't know if there's specific if it'd be better if you all wanted to ask specific questions, or if you wanted me to give any more of a big review. So I'm happy to.
Questions. I was literally doing full. I got this email, I don't know, like a couple days ago, not even, that this was happening. And in my quick research today, there is already 16 different apartment buildings with at least 200, if not over 400 homes or houses that can actually be rented currently right now. And to include that the Highland North Hills apartment is only 70% occupied, which means there's over 80 homes still available to be done. So the need for new housing in the 5-mile radius of where that is located is not needed, for one. So the community is not needing more housing. And townhomes, I mean, I used to build, I'm part of the construction world. I used to bid once a week a townhome on electrical gear the entire time in Wake County alone. There's plenty of townhomes, there's plenty of things. There's no need for the community. So my question for you with stating all this is, why is this even being considered if it's going to cause probably higher impact on lowering houses and also damage to a floodplain and floodway that is in great and dire need of rework that the city has ignored me for the last 6 years, by the way?
So I'll try to answer some of those questions. I can't answer all of them. Those are largely policy questions. Right?
It wasn't a softball question, that's for sure.
Yeah, understood. So the city council adopts rules, so zoning regulations that are then applied to development projects administratively. So the regulations that are being applied to this project were adopted by the city council. Our role as staff at this point is simply to say, do you comply or do you not comply?
Okay.
We don't have the ability to exercise discretion and say, for various policy reasons, we don't believe the housing is suited here or can be built here. Simply, if you meet the objective standards in our code, we have to approve the project. That goes for all of the reviews that we do. Staff doesn't have discretion in what gets built where, so long as it complies with the rules. So the rulemaking is the sort of, I'll say, discretionary action, and that occurs at the council level. That's a legislative decision. These are administrative decisions.
Okay. And what is this zone for, by the way? Is this still just residential, so it's not commercial residential, right?
It is residential 4. However, the applicant is utilizing a development option because the property sits within a designated frequent transit area. So that is allowing higher density and also the usage of the townhome building type.
Okay.
I think that's the point here before you go any further. I didn't realize that there were rezonings before, and the rezonings were dismissed, rejected, correct?
Yes,
So,
multiple times.
okay, so Missing Middle came about, what, 22? It's been in place now for about 3 years.
21 and 22.
Yeah, so what Missing Middle does, it trumps everything, unfortunately, it trumps everything, unless you have an area plan or some protection or covenant or something, which gives the city the right to go ahead and grant people the opportunity to build for density. And if you're on a frequent transit corridor, that's what qualifies them to build the density. Now, the intent theoretically was always to get more affordable housing for density, but it hasn't occurred. It's so rare that it really just hasn't occurred. Most of these developments, you could not afford to buy. Occasionally, it happens that they are affordable. But the point is that Missing Middle takes the public out of the picture. If this thing will get reviewed, it will get and correct me if I'm wrong, it will get an administrative review, and you have to be an expert to contend with the people that are doing the review. Average guy from the public walks in, they won't listen to them. So that's where the problem is. I can't understand myself how if the rezonings weren't accepted for traffic, congestion, floodplain, how you can turn around now and have Missing Middle still has all the same issues, but you can't do anything about it.
It was 6 homes in 2007, or 2015 that were proposed, and it was denied because it was gonna add a road to 6 Forks. That was the sole issue why the whole project was denied.
Okay.
The other thing about this is what you've said is there's 18 homes being added on a plot of 1.6 acres of land.
Each
The
lot,
Spartan project is 18 homes on 2.57, someone correct me?
Set 17 homes and 2
Something, and we also have all of the traffic issues occurring in our neighborhood with the flooding.
right, and the other side of the
The
street has flooding, right?
Yep, the other piece of that was the affordable housing you talked about. I don't know, Keegan, if you can explain what you told me today with the.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So,
12.
yeah, so essentially with the development option that they're choosing, there is an affordable housing requirement that kicks in if you're proposing more than 12 units or 12 homes as part of the project. So what the requirement states is that 20% of the units over 12, so in this case, 20% of 6, which is a little over 1, but we require them to have 2 affordable units, to satisfy that requirement. So essentially, if they want to proceed with the number of 18, 2 of the units would have to be designated as affordable. What affordable means is affordable to a family or individual. It's sort of a scale, earning 60% of the area median income for a period of 30 years. So that's the affordability requirement that's included in the code.
And then can you define the area median income?
Give me one moment, I can.
Should be approximately 60% of 94,000.
It goes up, so by household size. So for a family of 1, it's 55,000. For a family of 4, it's 79,000.
Right. But one further question here. Keegan, you mentioned that they're required to have 2 units. It's an option, isn't it? They don't have to go the affordability route. They can stay within what they are allowed to build, which I guess is instead of 18 is 16?
12.
12, okay, and not have affordability.
But the plan is for 18.
The current plan shows 18, they could drop it to 12, that's correct.
Is it possible that they could increase it?
In theory, they could increase it. However, with the product that they are choosing, the townhome product, it seems that they've, probably provided as many units as they could get using the townhome product.
But it is allowed 2 townhomes per lot, right? In the city of Raleigh, based on lot sizes. 2.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but they,
currently.
So,
Yeah,
Forget the frequent transit.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's-
they were just doing this in a non-frequent transit.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, if you're in a residential 4 district outside of a frequent transit area, let's just say, you can do duplexes or 2-unit townhouses by right as well. So this is different, right? Because they're gonna have multiple townhouse lots on one site.
To push back, just real quick, rents in Raleigh have stabilized and actually started to come down in a few areas in the last year. So when the building boom started 3 years ago and Missing Middle was allowed, we at least got stabilization in a very fast growing city that's absorbing a lot of newcomers from out of state for a lot of money. So far, by some people, their judgment, it's been amazingly successful. Maybe we've overbuilt in a few areas. Overbuilding reduces prices. So we're pretty happy about it. And the fact that this is inside 440 for a lot of us, that's an urban core. It is becoming more urban. It is the development plan that city and many of us have wanted for a long time. So I'm gonna push back, Larry. You express your opinion, I'm just gonna express mine.
David, the issue I have with it is what I said earlier. If it was a rezoning, if it wasn't a missing middle project, and if it was a rezoning, people would have the opportunity to review it, have feedback at a hearing in front of council. It has cut all that out, even the notification. We are fortunate to even know about it.
That's a feature of the design, Larry. The feature was they were having so much trouble building stuff because so many community meetings like this, so they just did it by right. I understand your perspective,
Okay.
but the feature of Missing Middle was to remove exactly what you just talked about.
what does it mean disregarding the flooding and the safety
means-
of traffic?
The safety, so if an area becomes more urban and there's more cars going slower, it actually gets safer. And if they design the road right, if NCDOT does his job.
So, okay, we need to
So you
The
real
flooding,
quick,
the flooding is, the flooding that you talked about, that's on the city.
Where do you live?
That's all the city.
My
you're talking about
question is, between Barrett Drive and going around to the corner to Anderson Drive, that curve at 45 miles an hour or more is not slowing down.
That's fair, and that's the
just
question.
show it.
NCDOT should slow that down.
But
We've done it
where
twice.
are they? Get out of our. My question is, where are they?
NCDOT,
Yeah, we call and call, where are they? And I still.
And also with
Your
Missing
state-
Middle, they don't listen to us.
your state representative is.
It's
my
a
point.
matter of not when, but it's going to happen. We can't even get out of our neighborhood now.
I get it. That's it. Who's your,
You may get
NCDOT
it,
who's your house representative?
but my thing
Who
is,
is your house
we know
representative?
we call them,
So here's the thing, his stance is, it is what it is because this is the law, this is how it's going, this is how they're working through it. We can't complain, we can't do anything about it. I get it, I've been there on both sides, I've been in construction for a very long time. And people use it to benefit themselves and not others. The problem what I have is, I have townhomes behind me right now currently. And they had to put a 4-foot round pipe that had to go through my backyard so that they can properly drain into Big Branch Creek. Now, what they did to Big Branch Creek is nothing, of course. They just, it's another flowway for water. So if you look, and video that I took today, I got in my hunting boots and went around and looked at it and showed everything. A full 3-minute video that shows 4 trees down, and I've lost at least 6 feet of my own property because of it, and they have ignored me for 6 years. So that townhome didn't care because, of course, they just had the retention pond and the big thing, and they did exactly what they were told to do, which is that thing. Now, the problem is, the whole thing is flawed. You know it, we know it, everybody knows it. We can't do anything about it. We will try to probably reach out to representatives. I'm actually gonna probably go to WRL, the 5-to-5 thing, and see what we can get more attention for that. To be honest with you, I've already looked into doing that. I know people there. I will probably reach out to other places to try to see what we can do to squash this thing. Because there's more than just that, because there's another 20-story building going in behind our neighborhood in a little green area spot right there in Barrett, right where Barrett kind of comes around, 20 stories. Where is all that flooding gonna go through? Well, that's right, they breach Cranix. So you have that one, you have this one, you have everything coming through, and nobody looks through it. And agreed, it is the state's responsibility, but it should be their state's responsibility to shut everything down because of that.
But if traffic and impervious surface were the issue, Costco would have never gone in. Right, I mean, that's.
But here's the other issue though too, is the state said, hey, guess what, we're not gonna expand Six Forks from St. Tim's all the way down to, because we just ran out of money. but we'll put $4.6 million of a greenway in all of our backyards because that's it. Once again, all dumb, all these things are tit for tat, and we all need to refocus on what's actually important. And I think that's what's being lost in this whole thing. And I will stand up in front of city council, say it, I'll stand in front of whoever I need to talk to it. I'll run for mayor if I have to. But this is dumb, and what we need to do is realize and actually be human, that there's other people besides just people trying to make money in realtor. Trust me, I get it. I've been in business long enough. But that's where we're at. This is our voice that we're trying to have. And you have your right to have your own voice, and that's the beauty about America.
Yeah.
Okay?
Could you guys do me a favor now?
There's a lot of questions.
Before anybody speaks, would you please identify yourselves before you speak? And I just want to do a follow-up here myself. You mentioned 20-story buildings.
Yeah, there's a 20-story building going behind,
The only ones I'm aware of are along the belt line.
yes, it's along the belt line, but it's right there next to 440, right there up there, and they're gonna do a little roundabout, and then that overpass.
Right.
That whole, yeah, that's the one, that's gonna all drain into the branch. And this is Andrew Tattersall, I live at 3353 Chestwood Drive.
We need to talk.
Yes.
Not sure who had their hand up first, so I'll just go. Was it you? Okay.
My name is David Ray, 3101 Anderson Drive. You might know my mom, Lisa Ray. She used to be here all the time many years ago. She helped fight the battle in the last two. I have a couple questions and one comment. First comment is, both of the previous designs did not have the water runoff in them that this one currently has. So the question is administratively or from a review point of view, what part of our neighborhood is going to now require flood insurance because of that water reservoir in the back corner, which is going to be higher than the houses that are near, which is one major item. You said 3 to 5 reviews, typically for an administrative review. What is that time period? Like you said, they submitted one, they're gonna have to do it again because it was a bad job. But like, what is that time period usually?
Yeah, so to your first question, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, but I do have contact for the stormwater reviewer, which I can provide to
We
you.
probably should have made him stay.
Yeah, sure.
The stormwater guy.
Perhaps, I don't know that he's, the development review and capital projects are sort of in two separate areas, I don't know. But I'm happy to give you the contact information for the stormwater reviewer. To your second question, this is what we call the preliminary plan, so it's sort of an entitlement in that it's giving them the ability to basically develop this general concept. They do submit detailed plans for grading and transportation and utilities, but after this plan is approved, if it is approved, they would then submit infrastructure drawings. And this first phase can take anywhere from, a few months to over a year. It just really depends on what type of issues they may be working through, or if they choose to change their design, something like that.
At what point does it go to DOT for the cut-in?
It's a good question. I believe they had a note about DOT. The only note Michael, the transportation reviewer, included was NCDOT driveway / encroachment permit required. So I think ultimately it's on them. I don't know that the city necessarily advocates or pushes unless they're asked to be involved. It seems like at this point, it's sort of put on the reviewer to provide a response,
Reviewers on your information that we can grab.
Sorry?
Is that reviewer on the?
Yeah, I can leave this here. It's also, if you go to the city's permit portal, and you type in the plan number, which I can provide to Larry, I guess it's on the sheet.
Yeah.
If you type in that plan number, you can see the corrections report, and that contains the contact information for each specific reviewer.
Sorry, one last comment. I've lived there since '87. Okay. We've seen Sixth Forks get dramatically more dangerous every year. I look out my window and every 3 months I see a deathly I'm almost near death accident because of people flying down the road. It hasn't gotten slower and they've redesigned the intersection twice already. First time to protect Drury Hills because that was the #1 most dangerous intersection in Raleigh. So but traffic is a major issue, and that's why last two got killed. So that's why this is such a big deal to not allow that to just be administrative. There's a very good chance that you're leaving the neighborhood. You've got 56 possible cars that might be coming out of another driveway in between, 200 yards. And you've got people coming up from, Falls of the Neuse going 45 miles an hour. Someone's gonna get sandwiched. And it happens already. I mean, we all know that we wait for the light to change green, we count to 3, and then we go. And all the Amazon drivers in the neighborhood, good luck. So that's why we're trying to voice this concern, because before we did have a voice. And we understand that everything coming south of North Hills eventually is going to be a business or a building. Our neighborhood is probably going to be the last thing in the area when all of that occurs. But we're tucked away in the corner, and typically everybody forgets about us, unless you make the wrong turn, going 9 years of nose and throat, you turn around and in my driveway, right? So, thank you for your time.
Okay. Patrick Martin, 300 Foxhall Street. Several years ago, there was a proposal in the same general area off of Oakland. And it died of its own weight because they couldn't get the driveways and everything right with the number of homes. I think it was 12 or 13. Is this street gonna be a private street or a public street? That's what's proposed there.
Currently, it's proposed as a private drive.
Okay, I thought we were not doing any more private drives because of EMT and fire concerns that, you could not do any more private drives in this city.
So you can't do, we've prohibited what are called private streets. So it is, can seem maybe like a distinction without a difference. But these drive aisles, right, don't necessarily have the same infrastructure that a street would, such as like curb and gutter or street trees or sidewalks. They're really just used for access to the garages. So private drives are permitted. I think in this case, they even labeled it maybe as an alley, or at least parts of it as an alley. I will say the fire review is the one review that did pass. So just in terms of, I know you mentioned like fire access, the plan they submitted as far as fire is concerned is compliant. Now, fire will review it again and again each time it gets submitted to make sure that they don't have any other, issues based on any changes that are.
Okay, so are there standards for the private drives in terms of width and
Yes.
and turning ratio? And
Yeah.
That looks like it's kind of a great big long T, and everybody that's gonna get into those, 8 homes there have got to like dodge, weave, get into a space by a zip, kind of a
Probably have to
turn.
keep it a certain width and distance to keep it a private drive and not a private street, because they can't do private streets. So the developer is smart in the way that they're gonna propose it and keep the same size, so they can keep it as a private drive and not fall in the private street range, because they can't do those.
They're much smaller, so it is like a
They don't-
three-quarter turn type access, to turn in and get out is what I think you're getting at.
Right.
Which there's also no parking on these roads. There's only gonna be carpool, like garages.
Yeah.
And you can, in research, it says you can predict 2 to 4 cars per townhome. So at that max capacity, it would be 72 additional cars in this space.
They're gonna have a traffic jam right on their driveway.
Oh, yeah, but the developer, as long as they make.
They'll park on Oakland and Anderson.
I'm gonna proceed with more questions, just to.
Yeah, go.
But I think you made a mention of putting these missing middle along thoroughfares, but thoroughfares are not all equivalent. And this particular part of this thoroughfare is one of the least safe thoroughfares in the city. It's narrow lanes. They have no sidewalk down the west side. You see bicyclists at night riding against the traffic, wearing dark clothes, almost invisible. And it's not a problem the drivers are unsafe, it's just that the people that are using the street are foolish or uneducated or don't know what they're doing. And then you put in another street where people are trying to make left turns into that. And it's just scary to think of. And I think the real issue is the planners are doing that, don't ever go and look and see the result of their work. They don't know what they are doing. I've had many times where there's a place like, say, leaving Harris Teeter onto St. Albans, and you can't see around that parked car. That's been reported many times to the city. What's been done to correct it? Nada. And my only reaction is they don't care. They really don't care. They're bureaucrats. They're trying to punch the buttons, so they're ideologic, but they don't care what they're doing with the community. And it really makes me mad. Because I'm paying their wages and my taxes, and to see what's being done in some of these neighborhoods is outrageous.
Yeah, it's marked no parking too, and they still park.
Yes, so, I'm Smith Worth, and I would live at 428 Lakeland Drive. I've lived here since 1992. And, to your point about the 2015, proposed development, I was a part of that, in that Bill Jackson had approached me to sell my lot so that he could have a private drive go, through my, property onto Oakland Drive to exit the neighborhood, because the city, it was safe to have a driveway exiting Six Forks where those two houses are. And at that time, the proposal was to put at least 6 houses within those 2 lots. There was also some options to buy some of the other homes, which never came to fruition. But I think to go to the point of understanding the repercussions, I mean, back when the office park between Oakland and Barrick was first developed, there's a stormwater drain that goes underneath Oakland Drive, and there's homes that have suffered tremendously over these years, and that was like, in the 90s when they did this, that back up with stormwater, and the city promises to fix that, and it has not happened. And we've got recent photos of the boys who live on Oakland Drive, and Cheryl and Luke who live on Oakland Drive, and the water backs up in puddles, and their entire front yard is full of water, and it's never been fixed, and they've been promised to fix that, and it hasn't been fixed. They built a house next door to it, and then we have a duplex that many of y'all may have seen. It's a little different. It's at the corner of Six Forks in Overland. They supposedly rent on each side for $10,000 a month. That's what they at least advertise. I don't know if they ever actually got that. But it has been an absolute disaster having that one duplex on our corner. We can't see out to leave the neighborhood. We can't get in when there's other cars parked on either side. The city has come in and put a sign to prevent parking, but unless there's law enforcement standing there 24 hours a day, it ain't gonna make a.
Hello. You want to get the CAC?
So anyway, I just want to raise that issue that we have a very recent example of a townhouse that's been built in our neighborhood, and none of those issues as far as stormwater, drainage, and traffic and safety have been addressed. And until that happens, I don't see how we can really afford the safety of the kids in Anderson Drive and in our neighborhood, as well as the public's. It's just, another incident waiting to happen. Thank you.
May I please tag on to her? My name is Jamie Harper. I live at 3209 Anderson Drive. My part is that of recent, there's been a home on Oakland, $3.8 million home. People just moved in, and we've lived there for 16 years, and they were permitted to put in a pool and so on, and our home is not in the flood zone. And we have had so much. We have a creek between ourselves and it's rocks, a storm drain between us that normally in a downpour, we have serious water there. But it drains, and so we felt comfortable with that, but just recently, once this house was closed on, the flooding, the water that comes down from the corner of that home comes into mine, and it almost floods our air conditioning units. And it's just, I have video of it, and of several different rainstorms. And we're just really concerned about, because we did not buy in the flood zone. And we realize that, you know, location is the way it goes when you are where you are. But if this is something that the city has approved already and allowed, and there's nothing we can do about it, and we've had folks come out and look at it, and they said that was a civil case. Well, no, we've lived there, we didn't have this problem before. I mean, yes, we had water, and it might accumulate in our front yards and so on, but then it would dissipate, and so now we've got a really, really big problem, and that's just with this one home. So what's gonna happen when you add all of this? I mean, I think it's a real consideration, because we feel like our hands are tied, we don't know what to do about this problem. And now this is added to it. And yes, of course, the traffic is gonna be a problem, because I think 6-4 is crazy. I mean, like David said, people run that line, you have to wait. I never let, my children went to Our Lady of Lourdes School, I never let them walk to school, because they would forget. Because people run that light every day, all the time. So I'm just saying, we already have a problem. I believe the address of the home that I'm speaking of is at 436 Oakland. It's nothing personal, it's just, this flooding didn't happen where that home was there. And I'm sure they're very nice folks and so on. But it's a problem, it's a real problem for us and our next door neighbors. My entire yard is ruined. So, I don't know how, if we can't fix that problem, how we're gonna add to, you know, add this to that. So, I think it's a real concern, the water's a real concern, a real problem.
I did just wanna, provide one response on I know it's off topic from the townhouse development, but just on the matter you were describing with the home that was built next door.
Sure.
I don't know when it was permanent, it sounds like maybe over a year ago.
Yes.
Like when it was actually, applied for. So the city actually has encountered a number of situations similar to yours and did update the stormwater manual for infill development to address that specific issue. And that only went into effect, I think, within the past 6 to 9 months.
Well, is there anything that can be done to correct, the present issue?
I'm not sure retroactively, I just wanted to note that issue.
We have had the city come out and look.
Yeah.
We have several, and really, they're the ones that told us a little bit about some of what was going on with this proposal.
Okay.
So, and he gave us a little information on that, but the point being is, when it pours, and it's to the point, we've tried cinder blocks, we've tried pipes, we have fixed drains in our yard that we've put in, for flood, for the water, that's just been the situation the time we've lived there. But, this is something that we really can't handle, it's a lot. And, I have video, I think, Martha has the video of, it's just, it looks like a river.
And it's only gonna get worse with more surface and more homes with not a lot of vegetation or anything.
So I'd like to follow up Jamie. My name is Chris Benesky. I'm at 309 Shasberry Court, just down from Anderson. And the culvert that she's talking about runs behind my house. We have a basement / garage in our house, and we're probably the lowest point in Shasberry or in Anderson Forest. And we get structural flooding. Like last week, we had water in our garage from storms. So we're in a very, our property's in a very precarious place. And I don't think you can handle any more water coming into our neighborhood. So I'd be very concerned about any more stormwater being directed, like, into our neighborhood. And on top of that, I just finished a little minor renovation on our house and had to deal with the zoning and the impervious surface. I'd love to know how they're getting around, because this is a big R4 zone, so how are they getting around the impervious surface percentage?
Yeah, so, and I'll preface this like I did earlier, I'm not the stormwater expert, so. But typically, when you're looking at like single lot development, let's say like a residential home, and that's all you're choosing to build, either like single family duplex is usually the cutoff, and then you're looking at, lots that are no greater than an acre in size. Typically, that's where you get the hard cap, like the impervious surface cap. When you go beyond that size of property or that like scope of development, there's actually additional controls that are put on beyond just an impervious surface cap. So they have to, there's nitrogen reduction that has to take place, and then there's also runoff controls, and what that means is they have to basically detain the amount of water to release it from the site such that it would equal as it was undeveloped, or as it was previously, I guess it's previously. So basically they have to run an analysis to say, how fast is water leaving the site today with these two homes? And that's why they have that underground device that they're proposing, because that slows the runoff to the same rate.
Okay, so theoretically, we shouldn't see an increase in stormwater coming into our neighborhood.
I don't wanna make any declarative claims, but that's what I told you about is about as much as I know. But if you want to, I'd reach out to Sharon, who's the stormwater reviewer, if you want like a more detailed explanation.
As I said to you before, I don't think this will be the last time he'll be here. I think there'll be at least one more follow-up meeting. But right now, as near as I can tell, the subdivision plan that was submitted still has a lot of review left to do. So I think all your points are well taken. Now the question is, how do they get their commentary to the reviewers?
So you're welcome to reach out to any of the reviewers with questions or comments. They'll be better at explaining their specific rules than I am. I'm here to answer, or I'm mostly kind of planning and zoning related questions, but you're welcome to reach out to any of them. They can provide you with more information or an update. I know some of it is a little opaque at this point, like for instance, the NCDOT permit. The only comment that was made is that one would be required. So there's more background there. Or at least there should be when they resubmit their plans.
Can you speak to the appeals process and like what that looks like too?
So I can't really speak to it beyond the fact that there is an appeals process. And the reason is who has the ability to appeal and when you can appeal is subject to, it's basically a matter of law and legal interpretation. So I'm not an attorney, I can't advise anyone on if they have an ability to appeal or when they can appeal. But there is an ability under state law to appeal an administrative decision. There's an application on the website. If you have more questions, I would advise consulting with an attorney.
Is it possible for me to share the video that I have and share with a reviewer exact locations of where this is happening as my concern?
You're welcome to. I mean, yeah.
Provide me with.
How do we get in touch with all the reviewers? I don't.
So I have the corrections report up here. So for each review trade, it lists the reviewer's email address.
Okay. You should be able to do as I did. Just go to the portal, plug in the subdivision number that I put out in the agenda, and well, it's also here on the table. And then you can follow the progress all the way through where the application is. And you'll see the comments, you'll see the reviewers, and then you can go ahead and you can contact any of those reviewers.
But does
Sooner the better.
the reviewer have any capability to do anything based on our comments?
No.
So we need to figure out who to go to.
Yes. So understanding correctly, nothing can be changed unless the law is changed. Missing middle, is that correct?
And
So who hears us?
my
Who's
suggestion
listening?
to you, and Keegan may not like this, is to start writing to the city councilors. Missing middle has been quite a problem since it's been instituted. City has been sued, what, 3, 4 times? Some of which have gone on for 2 years. I don't think they want to continue to be sued. This situation is very similar to the Hayes Garden situation, except that I think it's even worse, quite frankly. Especially having rezonings that have been dismissed prior to this. That's a big plus, it sounds like to me. But Missing Middle, believe me, I give you so many references where the same thing has been going on, some of them have been going on for a year at least, where essentially the public is cut out of the process. David is right as far as what the city is trying to do, but the public is cut out of the process because they slow down developers. And in this particular case, you can hope for the best. The media is by far your best avenue to publicize what's going on and maybe get a land attorney, maybe get a lawyer.
Would you mind going to this map and describing a little bit of orientation? We heard about a pond up there. I don't know where the pond is, and the lots, how will the homes face? I can't really tell from what's there.
If I can find it. You want to pull the full plan, Larry? You have to do that for you log in. You can share it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll stop sharing.
I don't know if I have, let me see, make sure I have the Zoom link.
Because like on that other detailed map,
Yeah.
there's something called Oakland Homes.
Was it on the presentation?
Those are the houses that are on Oakland right now.
Right, but there, on this map, there's a great big long lot.
You wanna go back to
I was
that?
gonna show you.
Yeah, just, can you go back to
Can you go
the,
back to, yeah, the first slide?
Tell me where to go.
yeah, back up two, I think, where you showed the 2 lots. Okay,
It's the third slide.
keep going down.
The detail, like Google
Maps. The iMap.
It was the one that just showed the 2 lots and then the big.
Yeah.
There you go, okay, so we're talking about these 2 lots right here, okay? And that's where they're building the 12 to 18 townhomes.
Right.
Okay, Oakland is here, so the lady who was talking about Oakland up there is right up here.
And they have only one point of entry.
Right, they only have
that's-
one way of getting in and out, which is right here. Anderson Forest is this neighborhood right here that's tucked away. Also know that Big Branch Creek is also an issue down here because they're trying to redo the greenway into people's backyards.
Yeah.
So my house is right here on the corner. I've lived in that house and that house since 1987. I was here when Six Forks was a 4-lane road. And then overnight they made it a 5-lane road without expanding it whatsoever.
So your house is next to the one being redeveloped?
Yeah, so I'm here and my dad's here.
And then I'm next to them.
And then it's me.
There, and then there. So that reservoir is back here.
Over here is
So-
right next to the.
So this is the low point on the, if you look topographically, this is a hill. This is the low side, this is the high side, but right here where their 2 houses are is the lowest part of the high side. And there's a drain that kind of goes, if I'm right, goes between these 2 and then underneath and then down to where he is, which is down here, and then continues into Big Branch Creek. And
Also under the road, right?
right, under the road, so, and Big Branch Creek is typically what, a foot, 2 feet, but in those last storms we had in early, August, it was up to 20 feet. So it already has a ton of stormwater going into it, so hopefully that answers your question, but it's just a tucked in neighborhood, another tucked in neighborhood, we have 2 ways in and out, this one isn't really that much safer. This one at least has a light that everybody runs, and then this one, yeah, I don't know how you do it.
We get lucky with Barrett and your guys' light, and we
Right.
have to time it.
And then they wanna put it in an
Florida.
additional street, somewhere
So-
in between there.
One thing that's not on here, see this triangle here?
I can fix it.
Originally, this road used to just have a gradual this way, and then these guys on Drury Lane would get smacked all the time. You know, cause you're coming in on a gradual, 40 miles an hour. They then redid it to where there's a stop sign going this way, but still everybody's coming down. And anybody wants to go look at the 2015 forward, she's talking about those accidents. We're talking one major accident at the intersection every 2 months. And, I mean, at one point, we even thought about putting a camera up just to look down and capture it, but it's just cruel. So, because we see people T-boned all the time. Anyway, hope that answers your question.
With my stroller.
Yeah.
And the parks, but mostly my stroller, with my stroller.
How effective might a petition be to the planning commission if all the people who are concerned about this were to organize a petition as a way of giving voice to their concerns? Might that help?
So at this stage, where it's an administrative decision and review, we don't take into consideration petitions. So we're just looking again at the UDO, zoning code, the respective
Has anyone
technical
ever
manuals.
submitted a petition before to that body?
So there's no body that's reviewing or approving this plan. It's just reviewed by staff at this point. So it's unlike a rezoning case, which goes to planning commission, for instance, for review and recommendation, and then to the city council for approval. This is an administrative decision. There's no discretion involved. It's based on the rules that were adopted as part of that legislative process.
We need a.
And Keegan, who can speak in front of the administrative reviewers? Who do you have to be an expert?
Sorry, I'm not following your question, Larry.
The average person can't walk into a meeting when they're having an administrative review. You have to have certain credentials to go in and present a case for a neighborhood.
So there's no.
None at all.
My staff, they conduct their reviews on an individual basis, so they have a queue of projects that they review, so 8 to 10 a day, they're looking at them. Same with the 8 or 9 other groups that are responsible for reviewing this particular plan. So there's no single hearing or space where they're taking commentary, they're basically saying.
They're answering emails.
I'm looking.
Their check marks, their task list.
Looking at this plan, I'm looking at the code, I'm seeing how it complies, if it doesn't comply, I'm making a correction, seeing if they can,
So it's not like design review where they have a meeting plan and people can come to the meeting.
No, same with all of the other administrative reviews that we do. They're sort of done asynchronously amongst the review staff.
Can our city councilwoman do anything to help?
That would be a question for them.
At the present time, the answer is no.
What happens
I
if-
can weigh in. I can weigh in if you want me to. I know I'm here as well.
Oh, didn't realize that. Thank you, Mitchell. Try it.
Yeah. An administrative review is just what it sounds, an administrative review. City council has no input on administrative reviews. Just like any other permitting process within the city, it is just administered by staff. There are certain things they have to follow by code. The code is objective. Other processes are subjective. And so because it's objective, the applicant must follow the rules. If they do not follow the rules, it's rejected. There are multiple different agencies that have to look at an administrative site plan. It's not just planning, but there is no opportunity for the public to weigh in. There are so many administrative reviews. It is just something that is done on a routine basis. This is one you're happy to see, but it's just something as part of the code. It is routine with codes across the country. There's discretionary review and approval, special permits, variances, and there are administrative reviews. This one happens to be administrative review. The Unified Development Ordinance dictates the rules they have to follow, and then that's it.
Mitchell, the question is whether council can make recommendations to change the rules that exist for missing middle to allow the public to have input.
Yeah, just for clarification, this is a townhouse development. I know people have been saying missing middle. This isn't missing middle. Missing middle is a duplex, triplex, fourplex within one structure. These are fee simple, looks like townhomes, so I'm guessing correctly. So just for clarification, it's kind of being grouped in missing middle, but this is your standard townhouse development. Council can always change ordinances. That's just what we do. It is a text change. It has to go through the process. There's public review, and that is something we discuss with staff to see whether there's merit to do a text change. But text changes are introduced by staff, introduced by council, in some cases introduced by the public. So the answer is yes, the council can change the rules, but in terms of administrative review, that is something that is standard with all zoning ordinances across the country.
Hey guys, can I weigh in? This is Christina Jones.
Yes.
Is that okay? Hi guys, this is Christina Jones, City Council District E. I did want to give some clarity. I know it said, can our city councilwoman do things? As this came in our last term, I'll remind everyone that I did motion for there to be a pause, but in order for me, no one counselor can do anything on their own. We need 5 votes in order to do that, and we did not secure that. We then sent it back for a conversation, and we had lots of conversation in which some recommendations came out that didn't really address all the things that had come up from the community. I did vote against that, but remember, I'm the only one in the previous council that did that. So it's not that council can't, but we need a majority of council in order to change it. This is now the law of the land, which I understand the frustration completely, but unless there are at least 5 councilors or 4 others that are willing to do that, then this remains law of the land. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Christina, when's the next city council meeting for that group that maybe we could possibly present at?
City council meeting for what group? I'm sorry, I missed that.
E or whatever the 5 people I need. Put 5 people in front of me. I'll convince them.
So the next city council meeting will be September 2nd. You're always welcome to come for public comments if you'd like. You can always reach out through email and see what that conversation can be one-on-one. And you can, as I would encourage you to ask for the understanding, because I think we all need to hope that when we have the conversation, somebody's able to change our minds. And so when you come with that, have that conversation, but also be open to what they have to say, because I understand the emotion. I feel it. They understand it too. And we're all trying to do what's best for the city. We have different views of what that is, but walk into that with an open mind. So you could do it publicly at public comments. You could email everyone individually and see who responds and continue to reach out to those who don't. But that would be where you would start, in my opinion.
I have to take one more comment, and then I am going to turn it over, let the councilors have their say for the rest of the meeting. Yes.
Yeah, I just have kind of a process question. So on the issue specifically about drainage, and that is a big issue that we're experiencing, and you can imagine that more water is coming. It sounds like they have a theoretical solution that may work. If it doesn't work, then who is accountable for getting that fixed? Is that on the developer? I mean, are we indemnified against their solution not working, or are they okay as long as they follow the code? And if it's not the developer, then is that rolled to the city?
I'm not sure, I'll be honest. I'm happy to follow up with Sean on that. I know that they have to provide a maintenance plan for the device to make sure that it's properly maintained and performing. As far as like an outright, failure of some kind or not performing based on what the information they submitted, I don't know, but I'm happy to follow up on that.
Can I add to that? I do serve as the liaison for the Stormwater Management Advisory Commission. Our meetings are open to the public. We meet the first Thursday, so the first Thursday in September at 3:00. So you can always come with questions there. There's public comment available there as well. But I think, and I'll clarify with the stormwater department, but we updated our design manual last year. That was following 20 years of having not updated that. So what we were seeing was that we were following standards that did not account for the heavy rainfall that we've seen in the last, decade. And so we did make some efforts to change that in the last year, that people who are coming for a rezoning will be held accountable to. So coming to the meeting or reaching out, and I can connect you with Wayne Miles, who is our director of stormwater. They can be a much better resource for answers to those questions, because it's not that the city's not thinking of it. We are trying to make it and put it into ordinance so that everyone has to follow the same rules. And I just don't have all of those off the top of my head, but I'm more than happy to connect you. And as I wrap up my answer for this one, I will signal that we just, in our last budget, allowed for the stormwater department to take on debt. So prior to this, it was as a pay-go model, and that meant that whatever that year's budget was through your property taxes, that's all they could spend. And so they weren't able to do bigger projects, which led to us being $900 million behind. in stormwater infrastructure projects. And so by being able to accrue debt, now we're able to do more projects, more expensive projects, so that we can catch up, while also updating our design manual so that future developments are having to follow a stricter code. So I wanted to just clarify that. I'm happy to connect anyone with Wayne and with the department, and just shoot me an email at christina.jones@raleighmc.gov. And please, if you can and you're able to, please come out to the meeting and listen. The Stormwater Commission meeting is phenomenal, and they're very informative. So you can come and speak for a few minutes and then hear the meeting and ask any questions that you'd like. Thank you.
Okay, I hope this was helpful to you. Yes, real
I
quickly.
just have one quick question. Moving along, once the infrastructure plans or design is submitted, what happens after that step?
Yeah, so, again, yeah, so we're at the preliminary plan, right? Assuming it's approved, they move to infrastructure, so that's where they provide details about the roads, or in this case, alleys that they're gonna be installing, the actual pipe that they're gonna be installing for utilities. Once the infrastructure plans are approved, typically they'll proceed to recording the lots with the county, so they become legal lots of record, they'll record any easements that are needed. And then after that is when they'll actually submit, they'll be doing site work on the property sort of continuously after they get those infrastructure drawings approved. Once all of the initial site work is completed, then they'll submit for building permits after that to actually do the vertical construction.
Okay. I will follow up. Martha, are you the primary contact?
I guess so.
Yes. I will definitely stay in touch with Martha, and we'll decide what's next. Thank you. Thank you for your time. The counselors are gonna speak if you want to stay and listen to the counselors. Thank you. Thank you.
You may wanna hit mute on your end. It'll clear up.
Okay, let's.
There's no sound.
You should be able to speak. You should both be able to unmute.
They're both. Really? So we're the other Renee.
Christina, you want to go ahead? I think they're waiting for you to give them the go.
The games are going.
Yes, we are waiting for you to give us the go.
You have my permission to go, please.
Well, my remarks are very brief. I first want to welcome everyone. The summer is almost over, but council is now back in session. I just have two short updates. The first, and I know Larry already publicized this, later this week on Thursday, I'll be holding a community meeting at the Millbrook Exchange Park, the community center, from 6 to 7 p.m. So I welcome you all to come. I'll be sharing some updates, and I'll be there just to hear your comments, your questions, concerns. So that'll be again on this Thursday. The other point I want to raise, you all know that after years of trying to move forward on the Six Forks Corridor construction project due to cost overruns that went from roughly 56 million to 93 million. It became clear after working with staff that there was no clear path forward to get this done. It came to a point with time going by that with cost escalations and the cost to acquire property to widen the road, it just was not doable. So council came to the very, very hard decision of just saying that we have to move in another direction. We took those funds, we dedicated some to District A, and I'll share with you some of those improvements, and the rest went to complete other projects throughout the city. I'm committed to continue to find out in future bonds what we can do to address Six Forks. But just by way of the improvements that we're able to accomplish, the first, there were 4 things that will be done with the Six Forks capital money that did not go for the widening. The first was that we'll be closing the 500-foot gap on Carroll Middle School. In fact, that was completed last week in time for school. I drove by it and it is actually done and people are already using it. We'll be adding a new signalized pedestrian crossing at Northbrook and Northwood, installing a new traffic signal at North Glen, and there'll be improvements to the Six Forks and Millbrook intersection. All of that comes to a cost of roughly about $7 million. And so that is what I wanted to disclose to everyone, but I still believe that we have to continue to figure out what to do in the future. Last point is that I did share after running a very large capital project in New York, one that was 1.2 billion. We had a very different approach to capital projects. I told the city manager I'd love to sit down with staff and share my insight about how we can move projects quicker to avoid these long delays, which basically equals cost escalations. And so that is a conversation that we plan to have, not at a retreat, but one that we want to have with staff. So that's my update, and now I'll pass it to my dear colleague, Councilmember Jones from District E.
Thank you so much. First, I have my community meeting coming up September 10th, and that's over at La Cucina off Pleasant Valley Road, so on Glenwood Avenue. We do that every month, so please join us. We have dinner and talk for about 2 hours in which we talk about these same topics, and we really get council's perspective. So please join me there if you're able to. I also, that same Saturday, so September 13th, will be moving on in our book club, which we are currently doing the Raleigh Charter. So if you're interested in learning how we became a city, what are the roles, how does the city work, we're really walking through that. We'll be doing Articles 6 and 7, but I have all the material online so you can review if you are interested in joining us. It's really important and impactful when you guys know the rules. Next, we'll be diving into the UDO, so I'll be using Councilor Silver's expertise and asking all the questions so that we can make sure that you are informed and understood what's already baked into the rules. Outside of that, the big update that I want to continue to share is our partnership with CACs. Really excited at our last meeting, had our chair, which is Robert Rice of the CACs, come forward in partnership with Nikki Jones, who's our assistant city manager, and saying that the motions that we had brought through are coming to fruition, and we made sure to clarify how each one of those are. The last one that we are working on is a website presence, and we talked about a possible idea in our last meeting, and it's coming back in our September focus discussion before we implement what that would look like. So we're just waiting for input from our CAC to say if this is a viable path forward, and that should be sure, that should check off all the things. And I'm excited to start on really solid ground with CACs and working together to make sure that your voices are amplified and that you're clear how the process of sharing that information goes with council. So I'm super proud of CACs and the work we've done over the last 18 months specifically, and want you to know that you're in good hands, and we are trying to make that stronger. Lastly, I will update you about boards and commissions. We had a 3-meeting joint journey on this, trying to figure out what is going on, and we are now about to set public meeting, public hearing to hear directly from our boards and commissioners and telling us how can we strengthen that relationship. Community engagement is my passion, and so I want to make sure in every aspect we are amplifying voices of the community so that we are reflecting what you guys want to see in government. So be ready. I don't think we finalized that date, but once we do, please be ready to come. And if you ever want to be involved in boards and commissions or join a class, one of the free classes from the city, please sign up for my newsletter at christinaferrali.com. And all of that's on every piece of information that I send out. So unless you have any questions, that would be my update for this month.
Okay, thank you to both of you. Two small things for me. In addition to canceling the Six Forks Road project, which was from the bond in 2017, there were other road projects on that same bond. A lot of the money that's being diverted away from the cancellation of the Six Forks Road is going to some of those same road projects that were supposed to be funded in the 2017 bond. I have made a request to see what the road costs are currently and what they were projected to be in 2017 and what their statuses are. I will let you know when I get that information from transportation. The other thing is you heard a lot tonight about Six Forks Road. There is another development that's going to come in right below the interchange of I-440 on Six Forks. When it's completed, it's going to generate probably as much traffic as North Hills possible expansion is going to cause. So you will have traffic being generated above and below the I-440 interchange. It's not going to improve, it's going to get worse. So while the Six Forks project is temporarily canceled, I think it's something that you're going to have to face probably by the end of your next term, and hopefully your next term. So that's just it from me. Anything from the audience you'd like to ask the counselors?
To me, I would like to be more engaged in the city council and whatnot. So I don't know what that looks like. I've never done this before. So whatever I can do to get more information and be a part of those meetings, I'd be more than happy to join.
Well, we never turn down volunteers.
Yeah, let me just share a couple of things. All of the council deliberations are live and recorded. So if you want to and prefer not to watch Netflix, you could tune in or see a recording. That's one way just to stay in the know. As my counselor and I just stated, we hold community meetings. Each district has a different format. You're welcome to join that as well. There's always one-on-one time with the council members. We also occasionally hold a town hall. That's a different format. That's when we bring the agencies. And then, of course, as Councilmember Jones said, you could always get active with boards and commissions, and you're now part of the network. But there are other ways you can be active. But if you want to stay in touch, that's certainly something you can do. And as Councilmember Jones said, we have public comment, and you have about 3 minutes to share whatever it is that's on your mind. We cannot respond. We listen. But that's one way you can get engaged. So those are a couple of ways that you can get involved. And Councilmember Jones, if you have other ideas for those that want to stay connected to us, certainly we'll hear from you as well.
I'll echo what I mentioned earlier, and we offer classes and they're free of charge. One is called Raleigh Neighborhood College, and that's going through a lot of the departments. The fire department will blow up a car for you and show you what that looks like. You can go to the police station training station, and it's an amazing way to learn again about the city. When we start from a place of understanding what it is, now we are better equipped to understand how to change things instead of just, let's change it. We want to have a goal for how to do it. But we have Raleigh Neighborhood College, you have Citizens Leadership Academy, which teaches you to lead from the middle, of which moving forward, CACs will have a teaching day in there so that people can learn more about CACs. We just started our Police Citizens Academy. So it's a way to teach residents what goes on in a police academy. And I'm really excited about that one. And the last one is a planning academy. So when you have a lot of questions about what's going on, they offer different styles. One is 1 day, some are 4 weeks long. And they're all free, and they feed you lunch or dinner, and it's really great. But it gives you an understanding of the questions that you have when you come to CACs. So I would start there. And then as you learn and as you get more involved, then join things like boards and commissions and things like that. But I'm happy to have a conversation with you and really lay out a map of plans for how do you get more involved, because I'm all about that.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you, Mitchell.
Anything else? Anybody else? David?
I'll ask, Councilman Silver a question since he was at the planning, his work in planning staff. My understanding is when you start through a process, legally you go through that process and stay in that. So even if the rules were changed 6 months from now, any project that's in the pipeline now, yeah, Christina's shaking her head too. Yeah, so even if this project, for example, that you're starting now, it's going through this process under the current rules. So even if you change the rules in 6 months, it wouldn't retroactively apply to this project.
Correct.
That's correct. It usually has an effective date. And if you're already through the process, they have to go through the process under the rules that they filed. So the answer is yes. On any ordinance, we'll pick an effective date, and that's the date any project thereafter will have to comply by the new rules. If it was submitted before then, they follow the rules at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Yeah.
I'm wondering, how soon would applicants to the police community academy learn whether they've gotten in? Because I got the email and I applied right away, and that was like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago or something like that. I'm just wondering how soon we'll know.
That's a great question. I'm not exactly sure. I know some people who have already heard. Whatever that email contact was you had in the first place, I would reach back out to them. But also you can shoot me an email at christina.jones@raleighnc.gov, and I can help connect you with those who can answer that question for you better than me.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Mitchell.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right. I would be remiss. I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen, my trusty assistant here, and let her put a plug in for her Eastgate Park cleanup on Saturday.
Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, the community is getting together with the North Raleigh Rotary Club to clean up the park. So we'll be picking up trash all around, and we'll be picking up random branches and things that have fallen through from the storms, and hopefully make it even more beautiful than it already is.
I thought it was 9 o'clock.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you know.
You tell them 8 o'clock, they still come at 9.
I'll see you at 9. Okay, hope you all can come to Eastgate Park and participate.
Thank you.
And that should do it for this evening. And as I said, I understand the frustration of this before with what you're going through with